Hey guys, so I wanted to just do a quick video on my current favorite decks. I did want to show you guys my altar here really quick because I will be moving it back upstairs very soon into my new room. So that's exciting. So I just wanted to show you this really quick. It's not completely, I usually have some decks here which I'm actually going to show you very soon. But basically this is a video of a handful of decks that I've been using for my personal growth as a human being, but also the decks that I've been using most with clients as well. I'm really excited to talk about these decks. I will say, surprisingly, most of these decks were either decks I've started off not liking or were completely random that have now awoken after buying them a while ago, and now they're ones that I am just really drawn to. So I'm going to go through them very quickly. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment down below, and hopefully I will be doing longer reviews of some of these decks since I haven't done that with all of them. So anyway, I hope you like my altar. If you don't, I guess that's, you know, your own business, but I freaking love it. Alright guys, on to the decks. So for the first deck, I have the Spirit of the Wheel Oracle deck. And I did just do a little bit of a video on this deck because it's one of the decks that my mother brought me from my American collection over to Australia when she came to visit me. When I talked about this deck, I had said that I was surprised that I decided to take it, and I was really drawn to work with it, and that has not failed me at all. This deck has been extremely on point, and I feel that it called out to me exactly when I needed it because it has been extremely helpful in figuring out a lot of stuff that I've been going through. This deck is very much about the personal journey. It's about connecting to the spirit of the earth and the spirit of the animals and consciousness on a bigger whole, I guess. This talks about the different moons and the different parts of the year of the wheel and wheel of the year, sorry. And each card connects to a different part of that year. And it's really interesting to see how that comes up in a daily thing. I will pull 1 to 3 cards from this deck, and I have not been disappointed. This is a really beautiful deck, and I will continue to use this for a while. I feel that it's going to be something that is going to come in and out of my practice. I can feel that. The book that comes along with this is a little white book, but it's extremely thorough. Well, there's the Wheel of the Year. It shows each card and where it is on the wheel. It comes with actually a big poster that you can see that as well and put it on your wall. The explanations are pretty thorough, and it says keywords, the time of the year, the prophecy, and then a prayer. And I would say I don't really do the prayers. I do sometimes, but the prophecies are really on point. So even for being a little white book, it has a lot of really great information. The words are really tiny, so they fit a lot into this. So it's a really great little wealth of knowledge. I feel like this deck was created in a really sacred space. There's something about it that really feels very genuine and authentic to me. But that's just my personal take on it. So this is a really beautiful deck, and I highly recommend it. This next deck that I'm going to show you, it has a lot of meaning for me. This was given to me, this is the book, I will show you the deck in a minute. This book and deck were given to me for my birthday by my boyfriend at the time and now my current housemate. He is very passionate about the galactic calendar, and this is something that he really aspires to work with every single day. And this was the first thing, as far as I know, that got him into all of the Mayan energy signatures when he first started. When we first started dating, he saw this in the place I worked and immediately bought it and then gave it to me for my birthday. And at first I didn't really connect with it, but around the time we broke up, I was drawn to work with it, and this deck will be with me forever. There's something very magical about this deck. the deck consists of cards having to do with different numbers and different Mayan signs. I haven't read this whole book, so I really can't get into all the details, but it is extremely thorough. This is about the energy signatures and that we come through when we come onto the planet. We each have our own like sign with corresponding signs. It's extremely thorough. So you have these Mayan signs, and then you have the different numbers. And so the deck, there's probably many ways you can work with the deck, but how I've worked with it is I pull a couple cards and just see what the energy is around me, you know, see what guidance it has. Use harmonic wisdom, all these things. I mean, this, oh my gosh, you guys, anyone wanting to really delve into soul expanding galactic awesomeness, pick up this deck. It's so worth it. There's so much information, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's books and books and books by this guy Jose, who brought a lot of the Mayan wisdom back, and it's oh my gosh. Oh, that is Pete's sign there. It's just this deck and book blow me away, and like I said, there is a lot of emotional story behind this deck for me as well. It's something that has really been a big part of me and Pete's romantic relationship, but then also just a relationship as people. And I really respect the wisdom in this. Pete has definitely grown as a person from this knowledge, and I can see it flow through him. It's really pretty magical. And in the last month or so, I have really just when I went up to Byron, I usually take a couple decks. This is the only deck I took with me, and I had to take several things out of my suitcase just so I could put this in it because it's heavy. But anyway, it's definitely a deck I would recommend. I'll show you the deck really quick. It's really, really simple. This is the back of the deck, and that's actually my star glyph. I'm a yellow resonant star, and it's just absolutely amazing. But this is my glyph here. I'm very seriously considering it getting tattooed. And ironically, that is my challenge sign as the mirror. It's a very simple deck, but it's also extremely thorough, and the energy around it is extremely potent. And I can't thank Pete enough for introducing me to this deck. This is a deck that I think I will always... this is a sign of one of our roommates. A deck I will always look to for wisdom and guidance, and especially the book as well. It's really intriguing me to also get involved in more of the Mayan wisdom, because I feel like it's really important on my journey. I feel like everyone who comes into my space is an important factor in my spiritual growth, and I feel like this was a huge wake-up call in a lot of ways to the synchronicity of the planet and the synchronicity of life, and I really feel like that's going to affect me over the years. So I feel like this deck is a step into that, and I'm really excited to delve deeper into that space. Once I do some more research on this book, I probably will do a more thorough review on this deck, but from what I can see, I would highly recommend this deck as well. The cardstock is really lovely. It's really beautiful. The pictures are full of color, and yeah, I really love this deck. This next deck is a bit of a step away from my typical decks that I use. This is a Doreen Virtue deck, and it's called Flower Therapy Oracle Cards. And I have never been drawn to Doreen Virtue. I'm going to be just really, really honest. I tend to like a bit darker decks, a little more meaty, artsy decks. The Flower Fairies and Angels really typically don't do it for me. I will say though, since coming to Australia, I work in a crystal shop, and a lot of the decks that we have in there are Doreen Virtue decks. And so I have had a chance to flip through them. And I have a lot of friends who either really love her or really dislike her, and I would say the hype in either direction is a bit much. I think some of the decks are very, very good, and some of the decks are just a little too flowery for me. I don't really have a judgment on them either way. However, when I found this deck, and I started pulling cards from it, I found it was extremely on point, and I eventually just had to buy it. So I believe this is my first Doreen Virtue deck. I believe I may have another one at home in America. I honestly don't remember. I have a lot of decks that I have not delved into, which I'm looking forward to when I get back. But this deck, even though it has a fairy on the back, is not a it's not a fairy deck. This is a flower deck. And I freaking love flowers. Flowers are if flowers could be a soul, you know, soul animal or a spirit animal, that would be it. I'm kidding. My spirit animal's a cat. It will always be that way. What I like about this deck is it has a little bit of a thing on top about what the card is, the type of flower, and then this little few word explanation for the card. To be honest, I have not even looked in the book. I don't feel these cards need it. I believe these are just so yummy without the book, just to be totally honest. I like using this deck at the end of readings for clarity, but also to end on a positive note, especially if a reading is difficult. I love this deck. I would highly recommend it to anyone. This deck is one of the most on-point decks. Anyway, this deck is just absolutely gorgeous. I feel it's a ray of sunshine in sometimes dark times. If I'm having a really bad day and I don't need anything really telling me, you know, deep, dark stuff, I will pull this out just for some wisdom of, you know, how I should love myself and, you know, how to come at the situation, to be honest. This is an extremely loving, beautiful deck, and I highly recommend it to people getting into oracle cards for the first time, but also for people who need a little light in their life or just like to pull a card every morning for a little guidance. So I highly recommend this deck. This is, again, Flower Therapy Oracle Cards by Dorian Virtue and Robert Reeves. So this is another one of those decks that I'm surprised I really liked, again, because it's a Dorian Virtue deck, but I do not discriminate when it comes to decks if I really like them. So, and of course the pictures are gorgeous, as you can see here, and they are photographs, which I do really like. It really makes them very crisp. So yeah, highly recommend this deck. Oh, and just on a side note, this is the book. As you can see, I've literally not used this at all. There's like not a crease in it at all, but and I really can't tell you much about it, but you know, there's a little thing of the card and it goes into it. I'm sure this would be helpful, but honestly, the cards are good as they are, to be totally honest. And so yeah, but that's the little book. It's a nice little book. It's got some good information in it, or amount of information rather. But yeah, that's the book. Now this next deck, I have done a review unboxing thing on this, I believe. I know I did a video on it, but I forget exactly what it was. This is the Crystal Mandala Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Now, unlike Dorian Virtue, Alana Fairchild is at the top of my list for deck writers. I adore her decks. There isn't a deck that I have purchased or looked through that I haven't felt some sort of connection to. Ironically, this was one of the decks that at first I was like, I don't know. And then when I started getting my hands on it, I was like, oh boy, this is just another gem. I have met Alana Fairchild briefly. She's a really wild woman. I met her at a drumming circle here in Australia, and that was really, really exciting. She's good friends with a friend of mine. This deck is amazing. It has to do with goddesses, ascended masters, and angels, and they're, you know, a corresponding mandala and crystal. The book is extremely thorough, just like any Alana Fairchild deck. It's soul-changing. You know, you pull one of these cards and it's like, wow, boom, information for the day, for the week, for the month. It's really amazing. And the cards are beautiful too, but honestly, in the big scheme of things, this deck is about the book. And it's beautiful. I really like the cards because if you meditate on them and the mandalas, they do seem like they are moving. You really take in the energy of the mandala and the energy of the card, and it's really, really beautiful. And again, like any Alana Fairchild deck, this is just yummy. The book looks like this, and of course it's, you know, huge. It has a good, you know, 1 to 2 pages on, or no, like 2 to 3 pages on each card. You know, information, healing process, the whole 9 yards. You know, great Alana Fairchild book. Highly recommend this deck. Again, another yummy deck. I've been using this, not so much for clients. I think I use this one day, but this is definitely more of a soul personal deck. This is a deck that Pete got me, and I believe I will be getting him a copy of this before I leave. So that's really great. So Good stuff. Both Pete and I have thoroughly enjoyed this deck, and so if you are a man looking for a really good oracle deck that isn't necessarily super girly or flowery, this is, I feel, a really good gender neutral deck, so I highly recommend that as well. Pete has given his man thumbs up of approval, whatever the hell that means. Anyway, so yeah, excellent deck, so get on that. And any other Alana Fairchild decks, let's be real, they're all good. The Isis Oracle, Sacred Rebels, the Kuan Yin Oracle, which I've started working with, they're all good. They're all good. And she's got a bunch more. So look into Alana Fairchild. That's my bigger review is Alana Fairchild decks. Awesome. Yeah. And for my last deck, I have a tarot deck. And the irony on this deck is deep because I just posted a deck unboxing and review of this from actually a few months, probably like a month and a half ago to 2 months ago, and when I unboxed it, I thoroughly did not like it. In fact, I was saying that I'd probably regift it, I didn't feel a connection to it, and then at the end I was like, oh, this seems really nice. The irony of this deck is that I have stopped using all my other tarot decks, and this has become my main reading deck. Every time I go to read for someone, this is the deck I use. I freaking love this deck, and this is the Enchanted Tarot by Amy Zerner and Monte Farber, and holy crap. I mean, I wouldn't say this is going to be a deck for everyone, but for some reason this deck just, it's the deck I always go to. And I have a lot of decks, and I, honest to God, have not used them since I purchased this deck. So if you've seen that review, this is my follow-up saying, I love this deck, I adore this deck, and I don't even know why. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I just really love reading it with it, and I do like the art, but it's not my favorite art. And I don't know, this is the deck I like reading with. It's become my main tarot reading deck, and I love reading with it for people. And honestly, like, as soon as I got this deck, I started reading with it, reading for clients with it. I was drawn to it. I usually bring one or two, maybe 2 tarot decks with me to do client readings, and then 2 oracle decks, and depending on how I feel, I'll pull one of them. The first time after I went to work after buying this deck, this is one of the decks I brought, and I pulled it out, and I have consistently only used this deck since then. I love this deck so much, and again, I don't really know why. It's just the energy of it. I feel like it reads very well. It's clear to me, and I just love reading with it. So yeah, highly recommend this deck. I will say there are some things about it. You can check out my review. It's a few videos back. There are things about this deck that I didn't like originally, but honestly, I don't notice them anymore. I will say the cardstock with this deck is really good. Something that might bother people is some of these cards are slightly crookedly printed, and that really peeved me when I was looking at it, but when I started reading with it, I stopped caring. It doesn't bother me. And I just really love it, and that's it. So the irony is deep, you guys. This is now my main reading deck, and it was probably my least favorite unboxing deck. The book is really good. I haven't actually delved into it as much as I would like to, but it has full color pictures for each card, which are beautiful. It has a description of the card, what it means, and then how to bring that energy into your space. It's a beautiful book. I do really love it. It's well thought out, and it's really beautiful. So that is the last deck for my little current favorites. I highly recommend all of them. They are all very different, and also decks that, like I said before, weren't decks I either expected to like or, aren't. When I think of my favorite decks, I don't usually go to these decks, but these are the ones I've been using, so I'm just going to put that out there. I really haven't been stepping into the Isis Oracle. I have not been stepping into the Gaia Oracle recently. I haven't been using my typical tarot decks. It's been a weird few months, but these are the decks that have really helped me through it, so I wanted to put this out there. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, again, comment down below. My social media links are in the description as well. Hope you all have a wonderful day, many blessings, and don't forget, it's all about the soul journey. Bye!